We drive through the night across the Altai region. The flat steppes which have accompanied us throughout our journey end. The mountains begin. For the fifth time on our trip, we cross the border and head for Shimanaiha, one of the very first Russian settlements in Altai, now situated in Kazakhstan. Our journey is coming to an end. At this point, we hear the story of Igor Sychov. He was the administrator of a well-known group in social media. Someone in this group submitted a poll. How would you vote if there is a referendum in Riga on annexation by Russia? Igor approved the posting of this poll in the group with a click. That click earned him a 5-year jail sentence. His case was observed by local activists. We managed to find one of them. Alexander Kharlamov runs his own security company. It's called Secret Service. He agrees to meet us in his office.
Alexander Milyantьевich, come in. Just a couple of minutes. Okay.
Before we cut to the chase, he tells us about himself. Alexander Kharlamov was born in Riga and worked in a Soviet militia.
I'm a Soviet cop. Got it? I was and I still remain the Soviet cop. I also worked undercover. I was an agent of the KGB of the USSR. I was fighting the bastards who worked in the Soviet militia. I helped many to get fired for bribes and other crimes. Then I was fired for a breach of discipline when all that perestroika stuff started. I didn't waste my time and created a kind of a brigade, a small enterprise of public order. I took the guys who worked with me in the operative Komsomol squad. My guys safeguarded many companies here: banks, meat factories, timber companies, forestries. I bought several apartments on the first floor here, organized 24-hour cover. I had several garages here, cars equipped with flashing beacons and radio sets. The guys wore uniform, they had non-lethal weapons and even guns. I split all the money I was making into two parts. One part went for my living and food. The biggest part was left for operating needs and salaries of another division of my business, a private police. There were about 30 people working for that private police squad, I may say. They patrolled the streets of the town. How come the authorities let you do that? What could they do? I didn't ask them, and I didn't respect the authorities or the official police. And I do not respect them now. I, as a general rule, do not respect the authorities because I believe that a normal person would never work there. In the official police, salaries were delayed for 3 months and more. Officers didn't get uniforms. All the telephone lines, except for the call center, were cut off for non-payment. The heating of the office was often irregular. Can you imagine the situation? While my company was working efficiently, we extinguished all types of racketeers, rowdies and looters, which was a real help for the police. My former colleagues often come to me and ask me to work in the police again. I always say no. I gave an oath to serve the Soviet Union, and I'm not going to serve the capitalist bourgeois state. Only traitors serve it. They say to me that the USSR no longer exists, but it is here.
On the day we meet him, Alexander Kharlamov is writing an article about the case of Igor Sychov, who was accused of separatism for publishing the poll on the internet. We listen to the draft.
Who offered the poll with the following text: if there is a referendum on accession into the Russian Federation in Riga, what would you ballot for? For accession or against accession? So the goal of the post was to clarify public opinion. Sychov published this poll in a group. Yes, in a social network. Now, the investigation and the court found that Sychov did not participate in the poll and did not comment on it. He didn't even take any interest in the poll. He was never seen making political moves, he never organized any political activities, and he never belonged to a political party. There is nothing, you see? There are many sane people in Riga, and they believe there is no need to swap one problem for another. It's a toss-up, which is worse. You have the same problems in Russia. Maybe the only difference is the language policy. Some people believe Sychov is not guilty. Others think he shouldn't have tried to be smart. What a neckhead, deciding to organize polls, a sociologist. Just sit straight and keep quiet. These people accuse Sychov of provoking events like those that happened in Ukraine, Donbass, Lugansk and Crimea. The government is really afraid of that. As a result, they try to nip it in the bud. Didn't you like that Putin's move on Crimea? No, I didn't. Who needs this? Do ordinary people benefit from this? Only Putin needs this. It's all about his ambitions. Our president Nazarbayev is much wiser in this sense. That's what I'm talking about. Leninogorsk was renamed, right? It was. Nationalists here wanted to make their voices heard. They said, we don't need Lenin's name here. He's so and so. He didn't give anything to Kazakhstan. But it was renamed not with a Kazakh name, but with Rida, a pre-revolutionary name. Yes, we insisted. There are a lot of Russians here, and they insisted that Philip Rida opened all those deposits here, and that he is a real founder of the town. They convinced all those savages who only dreamed to install yurts everywhere. We, the human rights advocates, defend the law on bilingualism. The chief of the court once decided to send me a document only in the Kazakh language. I went to him and said that I would sue him for the breach of the law on bilingualism. I didn't learn Kazakh. They have to send it all in Russian. Well, maybe the citizens should study the language of the country they live in. The young people study. My son does. But people tend to speak Russian, even those who study Kazakh in schools and colleges. Are there Kazakh schools in Riga? Yes, there are many. They told me many times to go to Russia with my ideas, but I was born here and I want to see a good state here.
Riga was the easternmost point of our journey. The drive back home took us 2 full days. For the 10 days of our road trip, we crossed the border 6 times, visited 5 regions in Kazakhstan and 5 in Russia, and saw different people with different experiences and perspectives. Their views might be contradictory at times. Some will live as a minority in a country where their ancestors lived. Some think of moving to a country where life might be easier, or at least somewhere where they won't have the language problems. But almost all think of both countries as their motherlands. The Russian-Kazakhstan border is the longest land border in the world. It was drawn in a haphazard way, without much thought for people. it could be a cause of territorial conflict or the cornerstone for integration between the two countries. Whichever it is to be is the responsibility of the politicians. Either way, an answer will come sooner or later.
Bravo.